Diary of a Certified Psychopath. Off the crank. Plod for purpose. Do tell, ye self-styled life coaches, tirelessly promoting your latest best-selling guide to a definitively happy and fulfilling existence, between feature-length commercials flogging clinically proven protein shakes, vitamin supplements recommended by over 90% of the industry's bribed nutritionists, and powdered placebo at $10 a purified gram, before proceeding to denounce all those healthy habits that your arch-rival freelance practitioner insisted we should take up on last week's vodcast, what is the fastest and most pleasurable route to beneficial fitness? Until you tell me, I'm walking on it. Evening Waddle. The archetypal grim and gunmetal grey fusion of squally veils, frigid frets, and charred marshmallow fruitlessness, as prophesied by Mystic Met's most trustworthy telemetry, was manifest, in all of its melancholic autumnal character, up and down the windswept straits of Shoreham's metaphoric mecca for pensive plodders, purposeful peddlers, duty-bound pet-sitters and pedestrians stranded next to weather-beaten signposts, bearing sun-bleached timetables that they assumed corresponded with those published in the latest edition of their solicitous community's monthly magazine, desperately awaiting salvation from our quaint seaside town's number 19 bus service, whose rattling fleet of diesel-powered single-deckers have developed a severe phobia of rush hours throughout their tenure under the route's present operator, Compass Travel. A compass was evidently the last thing on the mind of one anonymous customer at my vicinity's most dependable convenience vendor, who staggered into the premises in a far squigglier fashion than I managed during the opening phase of this placidly paced out and back. This dishevelled figure was evidently under the influence of rather more than the mild nicotine content of Elf's recently launched sage and balsamic vinegar-flavoured water vapour, part of the popular e-cigarette brand's experimental savoury range, and available exclusively at select high street stores, with a licence to sell at least 9 exotic strains of herbal tea. His low-slung cap served to emphasise a dense swat of ragged designer stubble, and when combined with a distressed denim jacket, crookedly hunched over a moth-eaten t-shirt, leaving just enough of its Ramstein logo visible to command kudos from a thrash metal guru, gave the impression of a novice investigative journalist seeking covert admittance to the Oxford Union. Within seconds of his garbled introduction, he'd requested to use the facilities, and proceeded to stumble like Long John Silver on 10 tankards of cask-mature grog towards the store's staff-restricted stock cupboard, without permission from its perplexed proprietor. "What do I do? Tell him it's private property?" the latter party inquired in rhetorical resignation. More than 8 recuperative hours of unstructured slumber later, I was still stuck for a witty response. Nighty Blighty. A belated bonanza of light tempo loopery to ensure adequate lung functionality and disentangle reef-knotted fibres after waiting for the delivery of a heavily delayed household appliance. Also remailed a 2-month late letter that was rejected by our country's royally approved postal service due to bearing second-class stamps no longer in official circulation. Perhaps this mini-conveyancing crisis stems from the fact that Britain's current monarch, being the only King Charles yet coronated to be afforded the privilege of wearing his own hair, harbours deep-rooted resentment that a stamp depicting the left profile of his long-reigning maternal predecessor would have pride of place on the envelope of every personal letter or greetings card fashioned for festive, celebratory or ceremonial occasions that contained heartfelt messages of mourning, merriment, birthday luck and seasonal goodwill, or perhaps humble congratulations for a diamond wedding anniversary, in which he so desperately wants to play a physically active role, before even life's stubbornest sticklers for tradition either switch to faceless QR codes and home-printed labels to ship their pre-weighed and paid letters into a dwindling populace of surviving pillar boxes, or sign up to Moonpig and Funky Pigeon, then rely upon the superhighway's free same-second shipping service to deliver their personalised and fully animated e-cards to long-lost acquaintances, whose spam filters will always detect 2 cartoon cactuses singing Auld Lang Syne as malware, and dump them straight into the digital trash. Regardless of the truth, I don't recall Her Former Majesty's regally minted banknotes being retired quite so soon after her departure. Reflect and reset. The resonant clamour of pealing church bells, carried in lilting crescendos from Shoreham's lively village square to its peaceful peninsula, by a waning west wind's velvet caress, and descending in atonal accord beneath the whirring murmurs from turbine engines, propelling planes filled with payloads of seasonal sun-worshippers abroad, mere weeks before they'd had the chance to relish the subtropical conditions of old Blighty's traditional October heatwave. Travelling in plush club class, whilst savouring sips of lukewarm Prosecco between their vacuum-sealed chicken salad sandwich and Sicilian lemon sorbet, these profligate vacationers would reach cruising velocities of over 600 kilometres per hour, or roughly 16,500% faster than I averaged during this flat-footed saunter through a mercifully mild autumnal night. Half an earthly pirouette later, a contemplative yet committed shuffle around the crazily paved shared space of Shoreham's extreme coastal quarter to hand-harvest a hastily texted inventory of non-essential indispensables for my familial business partner either side of a pedicure, not mine. Observed distinctly dry lines developing down numerous walk and wheelways, following a morning filled with correctly predicted and quintessentially British drizzle, the kind that casts its ethereal shroud over ships roaming the glowing horizon, and weaves gauzy shadows between shafts of heavenly silver, sent to guide their courageous crews safely through the channel's choppy waters, before its fleets of voracious herring gulls swoop in to hijack their fresh catch.